we are live and we are testing. Take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, etc., etc. Although you're unlisted, I'm unlisted, so no one can actually hear me or know what I'm saying at the moment. So no, but you can now. Welcome. Let's chat about Freemasonry. Very sorry I'm a little bit late. I was just hanging out at my lodge meeting tonight. Welcome back. Harmony Lodge number 579. Oh, we got the hearts. That's smoky. I'm guessing, how are you feeling if that is smoky? I hope that you're feeling well. I hope that you're doing well. I understand you were feeling kind of crummy, but sometimes I find I get lucky and, I feel crummy for a little while and then it kind of gets better quick. Sometimes it stays crummy for a long time. So, oof. Well, in that case, don't be here because you're about the same time as me. So get yourself some sleep. Although I will say, I do know that sometimes when you're sick, you just can't get to sleep no matter how hard you try. So if that's in your situation, then I'm happy that you're joining me. But I do know there's been times when I've been ill, and as a consequence, you just cannot get yourself to sleep, which is annoying because sleep is the thing you need the most. So it's a pain in the butt. Well, get yourself some rest. Tell your wife I say hello. I look forward to our January 29th stream. Just let me know what time works for you on the 29th, and I'll schedule it. And we'll go back and forth kind of thing. So let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. These one what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it now. These 1 a.m. streams, I don't have any specific topics. Rather, I just hang out and wait to see who wants to join. 1 p.m. topics, I have more specific discussions, specific points. In this case, the one thing I wanted to talk about was actually, or tomorrow at 1 p.m., or I guess technically today at 1 p.m., I want to talk about what I'm most looking forward to in 2026, what I think is going to be the most exciting and the most fun to see in 2026 from a Masonic perspective. Now, there's all these clips floating around regarding Freemasonry on the Sean Ryan show. I don't know the episode. I don't know who talked about it. I don't even know the name of the guest. So, I mean, it's a bunch of nonsense from what the clips I've seen, but I do want to address that at some point because, I mean, the Sean Ryan show, his YouTube channel has 5.56 million subscribers. And, I mean, his most recent video regarding Dan Crenshaw had 1.1 million views as of 8 hours ago, which is crazy. So my point is, I do want to address it because we kind of have to, right? We can't pretend like there aren't people out there talking nonsense. Base for Mr. Rolf. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. Would you rather go 50, 500, or 5,000 years into the future? 5,000 years into the future. No question. 5,000 years into the future. Yes, I do, but you can hit the like and subscribe button. That would be very kind of you. Yeah, let's put him in the timeout for a couple minutes. Although my suspicion is he's probably not going to come back anyways, so. But yeah, Sean Ryan had a guest on. I don't know the guest's name. Let me see if I can find out. He's had, oh, it was Dr. Dan Schneider, I guess, which... It's the Sean Ryan Show, episode number 266, 552,000 views. He also, though, had, like, I can't think of his name now, Randall Carlson on, who's a Freemason and speaks positive of Freemasonry. Anyways, I wanted to address those accusations, whatever it is we want to call it, those clips of he's talking about Freemasonry at some point. So as X, I can't pronounce your name, AZN, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Let's hang out and let's see who joins. And just we're having it out talking about anything in general, no specific topics, just generally about Freemasonry. However, like I was saying, January 2nd, 1 p.m., I do want to talk about first, I want to talk about the events coming up in 2026 that I think will be exciting, and talk about where I hope to see Freemasonry go in 2026. Last Christmas just passed. Hello, sunglasses. Yes, Christmas has just passed, which is crazy to think it's been that long. I do not know what the back of the Declaration of Independence says. I forget what it said in National Treasure. But keep in mind, National Treasure is just a movie. MC Xavier 3781. It's the old standby answer to be one, ask one. You need to find a Masonic lodge that is within your area, within your town, your city, or that you can get to, and get in touch with them and express your interest in joining, and you just go from there. The first step, though, is to contact the lodge and express your interest in joining and talk about why you want to join. Or just to get more information. Learn about them, about, the brothers especially. The most important thing at the start is just getting to know more about why you want to join, and the brethren, the people that you'll be spending your time with, right? That's the most important thing. I think a lot of times we tend to forget that in Freemasonry, and we focus much more on, the esoterics, the mysteries, the secrets. That stuff's, fun and important, but what truly matters is how well you get along with your brothers. No, Tanaka, they are not. Well, then you did not go to the right place. Clearly you were going to some place that you thought was a Masonic lodge, but was not. Formed by fusion, also no. Having said that, though, welcome. Hit the like and subscribe button. I've been a Freemason for 20 years approximately. I joined in 2007, and it's crazy to think it's been that long. But I hope you're doing well. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. It is very strange to me, but I mean, who knows? People, like I said, even if, 99% of the people never change their mind, if 1% of the people get a better opinion on Freemasonry because of this channel, even if they start out in a more trolling way, then so be it. OBS, formed by fusion. I mean, some Masonic lodges have Christmas parties, some don't. It just depends on the lodge. Primarily their finances, if they can afford to have a party. Some, like for my Masonic lodge this year, we actually had a Christmas cookie contest. Everybody brought in their recipe for Christmas cookies, and we voted on the winner. I mean, I don't know, Tanaka, sometimes no. Well, I don't know the best way to answer that question, to be honest, Tanaka. Like, I don't think there's any special demeanor that Freemasons have. Now, having said that, sometimes Masons will wear rings or jackets, but sometimes non-Masons will wear a ring or jacket with the Masonic symbol on it just because they like the design. So you can't rely on that either. Really, it's, you just ask, or if you are a Mason yourself, want to confirm someone else is a Mason, you can ask for their dues card. You need to be really careful about assuming one is a Mason based on demeanor. That's really not how it works. OBS, thank you again for being here. I hope you like and subscribe. There are many Christian Freemasons who would 100% agree with you. No minority makes me the most mad. Jackson, people can sometimes make me angry, but that's based on the person himself or herself and not on whatever group they may belong to. I am well, Minotaur. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Um, I hope you're having an excellent, excellent day. Or night, I should say. It's 1:35 a.m. here. No, Freemasonry, one of the things it teaches us is universal tolerance for different groups, including different religions. As East Coast Cat says, you can be any religion within Freemasonry, which is absolutely the case. Um, I don't know Wubba Lubba, but doesn't that come from uh, Rick and Morty, if I recall correctly? Well, I'm rich in spirit, ND01. If you want to help me out be rich in real life, you can do a 99-cent super chat or even a dollar super chat, or you can hit like, or you can hit subscribe, or you can share this stream. Um, yes, it does. June Aid, sorry, Faisal 9414. It does originate from masonry. Freemasonry evolved from stone Masonic guilds in the 15th and 16th centuries. And a lot of our symbols and symbology and philosophy are moral and metaphorical representations of actual stonemasonry and the work and the tools, the work done and the tools used. Neither of that is true. Two fat guys seeing things. Freemasonry does not work for the devil. And I've known many Jewish people, some Masons, some non-Masons. None of them work for the devil either. So you are incorrect. Minotaur, I've talked about that subject in the past, and you're absolutely right. Masonic burnout is very real. I've gone through it myself several times, and it is absolutely worth exploring and studying and talking about. I will do an episode on Masonic burnout for sure. It's a real issue. I think burnout in general is a real issue. Well, I mean, to my understanding, um, I'm just going to call you white. Jesus was a carpenter, not a stonemason. You could argue that Noah or Adam, as biblical figures, were both stonemasons because they were kind of the fathers of humanity. So they're the father of every, at least in Christian theology. So they are kind of the father of every profession, including stonemasonry. Um, yes, I got a big forehead and a big gap in my front teeth, Nicholas. You can hit the like and subscribe button. Neither of that is the case. 33rd degree Freemasons do not do the devil's work, nor do secular Jews do the devil work, having known both. Here's what I'll say. You say I'm misinformed. So I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years, 19 years. I've traveled around the world for Freemasonry. I visited the Philippines. I visited Brazil. I visited all around the Colombia, all 20 states, taken part in thousands of Masonic meetings and events. At some point, I need to trust my own judgments and my own observations. You don't have to trust them, which is perfectly fine, but I have to trust my own judgments as to what I've seen. Jesus was a carpenter, that's true. I mean, look, I'm the worst person to discuss like religious or theological or biblical studies. I'm only going by like the cliff notes of what I understand, which is again Jesus as a carpenter. Who was Mason and what? We have to Freemason because I said so. So let's get on that. Let's Freemason. All right. Um, who runs America? Well, in a democracy, the voters run the country in theory. Though in practice, I don't think any one person runs America. I think you have different spheres of influence. The largest sphere of influence is, but also the shallowest, is the president. But the president does not have full power. His power is checked by Congress, the judiciary. Then you have the fourth estate or the press. Then you have federalism and governors, and then you have municipalities. There is no single person running things. It's not how it works. Um, CIA is watching you. Hello, CIA. Thank you for being here. I hope the CIA will hit the like and subscribe button and share this stream with others. Um, I don't think we all agree, Jake, on who runs America. I'm telling you, nobody runs America. It doesn't work that way. Menet, come on, man. Come on to yourself. Hit the like and subscribe button. Um, I am fairly informed, I do believe. I could always be more informed, but again, when it comes to Freemasonry, I've been grateful. I joined in 2007. Again, I've attended over 1,000 meetings in, five different continents. Five different continents: North America, South America, Asia, England, so four, Europe, five different countries. I've associated with both York Rite, Scottish Rite. If they're, and I have to again trust that the things I'm seeing and what I'm witnessing with my own eyes, based on my own travels, are correct, combined with the research I've done on my own and the books that I've read and studied. Um, uh, Jake, I think you're reading into things. You want to be very careful about that. You want to avoid seeing what you want to see in people, including in their faces. We do. Well, I don't own anything. But there are, if I recall correctly, seven learning centers. One of them is in Windsor. When I say seven, I mean seven in Canada. There's more in the States, obviously. Interestingly enough, the closest learning center to Windsor, Ontario, is actually Dearborn, Michigan, which I thought was a really cool thing. And I love the learning centers. The learning centers are a wonderful part of what Freemasonry is, specifically Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Greetings, Mark David. Um, to my knowledge, Sean Combs, otherwise known as P. Diddy or Puff Daddy, is not a Freemason. I've never seen any evidence that he is. I thought it was seven. I could be wrong. I used to volunteer at the Learning Center, actually, and I loved it. The Learning Center, I think, is a real Masonic jewel. Um, no, I am not a spy. I'm not working for Russian intelligence. But of course, if I was a spy working for Russian intelligence, I wouldn't admit it on stream. So I guess you'll have to come to your own conclusions based on that. Um, Thank you, though, for being here. I hope you're having an excellent day. Please, or night, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you for being here. Um, all Freemasons are, well, no. Some Masons are gay. I've met within my Masonic career probably five gay Freemasons, four or five great members, great Masons. However, uh, Freemasonry does not discriminate based on sexual orientation. Freemasonry teaches universal tolerance, which is one of the things I most love about it. All right, let's put Brittany in a little bit of a timeout. She needs to calm down. Um, uh, I, I can't tell if you're trying to make Mr. Dunham welcome. Magic, the I can't tell if you're trying to make a pun. I was bricked. I don't know what that means. I will take Shrek, baked potato. Most people just say I'm ugly. So if you're going to say I look like Shrek, I will take it. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Yeah, Esfer or Sefer, believe me, this chat, the trolls I get, or not even the trolls, the people I get who have some very interesting ideas on Freemasonry, I've just grown to accept. I just have to deal with it. But my view is I started this channel to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. So part of that means I have to be willing to talk to people who, jump on the stream with some crazy comments and some crazy thoughts and some crazy ideas. I try not to ban people. I'll put people in timeout if they annoy me, but I try not to ban anybody because I figure they can always come back later. And if they come back later, I can always try once again to talk to them about why I love Freemasonry. Now, that doesn't mean I expect anybody on this stream to join. I'm not trying to promote Freemasonry or recruit, none of that. Everybody should decide for themselves. But if I love something, I should be able to talk about it on stream. Um, I will not call you late for dinner. Amazon, the word profane, I'm not a big fan of. I've heard in my 19-year Masonic career, 20 years almost, maybe two Masons use the word profane to describe non-Masons. It's a dumb word. I don't like it. I just say non-Masons. We don't lie either. Freemasons taught to obey moral laws, including telling the truth and being honest. Um, well, Zot Knight, if you want to join Freemasonry, you could join Co-Masonry, you could join the Order of Women Freemasons, or you could look at joining Eastern Star. Or you could also look at possibly some other liberal orders. And you're welcome to do so. What is the difference, Charlie, between Scottish and York rites when it comes to teachings? So Scottish Rite has typically been referred to as the University of Freemasonry. I would say the teachings are more philosophical and more based on kind of the philosophy surrounding Freemasonry. York Rite, which I'm not a member of, it's actually earlier. It was kind of championed by the moderns, or sorry, championed by the ancients, excuse me, in the great ancient versus modern split. And the teachings are actually based somewhat more on military history and the Knights Templars. Um, well, if you want to join where I am, you might want to look into Eastern Star. That's the best I can offer you at the moment. But there is Order of Women Freemasons in Ontario. Not where I am, not in Windsor, but in several cities in Ontario. There are the Order of Women Freemasons. They're an excellent group and a wonderful part of the Masonic family. Um, that's right, Mr. Whale. I am consistent, so please hit the like and subscribe button. Am I against or for unions? That is a political question. Freemasons aren't political. So some Freemasons will be for unions, some will be against unions. Freemasons will decide for themselves. I would say I'm more pro-union now than in the past. I still have my concerns with them, but generally speaking, I can see the need for unions. So I guess more pro than anti. Um, but recognizing every group and organization, including unions, can find themselves misused. Well, Gabe, you can do whatever you want. I would ask you not to do that because, in the same way, I'd ask somebody not to claim to be like a plumber or not to claim to be part of a knitting group if they're not. I think if you're going to claim to be something, you should be the thing. Having said that, you can do whatever you want. I can't stop you. But you bring up a really good point. Which is, Gabe, which is a reminder, just because someone tells you they're a Freemason or claims to be a Freemason, that doesn't mean they are. You still need to do your due diligence, especially if you're a Mason and you have somebody else trying to enter the Masonic Lodge or, join a meeting. There's ways to test. There's requesting a dues card. There's examinations where you ask them to answer questions about the craft. All that stuff matters. Harry Hawk kind of reminds me of Harry Hudson. Super simplistic explanation of what Freemason actually is or what it means to be one. So, Freemasonry is a civic or community organization that evolved from stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages. The purpose of which was for men to meet, kind of like a very formalized guys' night out, and provide mutual support and friendship to one another. And it developed ceremonies and rituals as a way to create the bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences, and to encourage civic mindedness. To be a Freemason, that's going to mean something different to everybody, right? To be a Freemason, really what it means at its core is it means you're a member of a Masonic lodge. You're a member of a group of Masons. You belong to a lodge. In the same way, what does it mean to be a gym member? It means you're a member of a specific gym, Good Life Fitness, whatever it is. It's just a designation of membership. Beyond that, every Freemason has to decide for himself what it means to be a member. For me, it means trying to create or build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Bro, can I join your chapter? You can. We wouldn't use the term chapter. We'd use the term lodge. You can absolutely. Freemasonry does not discriminate based on ethnicity or race. Good morning, Mikey. The lodge was great. It was the best meeting of 2026. The best lodge meeting of 2026. No, it was good. Good to see the brothers. Good to hang out with them. I'm glad that they're all doing well. Um, You do have to pay the dues. It's not a drinking club. I mean, it's a club. I wouldn't use the term drinking club. Some Masonic lodges are actually dry and don't serve alcohol, either by choice of lodge or choice of jurisdiction. Vice City, that is true. I have a big nose. Hit the like and subscribe button. Mia, I mean, I believe Jesus was a real historical figure. I'm not Christian myself, but many Freemasons are, and many Freemasons do believe in Jesus in the biblical religious sense. Mark David, what you're thinking of are stonemasons, not Freemasons. I mean, by definition, any building that is built of stone or by stone or with stone, stonemasons will be involved because that's what they do. Freemasons adopted the pyramids as a symbol because it's, one of the most famous symbols in the world and a symbol of stonework and stonemasonry. So naturally, they adopted it, but that's not the same thing as, being built by Freemasons. Freemasonry and the stonemasons are separated by a few thousand years. I am not a Muslim. But I know many Muslim Freemasons as well. Great people, um, great brothers, great people, great friends of mine. Freemasonry is not a religion. Freemasonry is not a religion. Um, it is a formal group of friendship and positivity. That's a very good way to describe it. When you say the roles of a Freemason, I mean within the lodge itself, there are a variety of roles. Another way to think of it would be offices. There's a worshipful master who's responsible for the administration of the lodge, making sure it's following all the rules of Freemasonry within that jurisdiction. There's a secretary who records minutes, answers correspondence, deals with any administrative tasks that need to be done. There's a treasurer who deals with the finances. You pay dues to the lodge. The lodge uses those dues to cover expenses, whatever those expenses may be. And the treasurer keeps an account of those. There's a junior warden who's responsible for making sure there's refreshments and meals after lodge. There's all sorts of different offices. There can be people, on sick and visitation committees. If a brother's sick or ill, he's the one who'll go and visit them or advise the lodge of the sickness. There can sometimes be officers responsible for charitable acts, or there's a million different offices within a lodge, but all of them serve the purpose of maintaining the Masonic lodge and assisting the lodge in growing and assisting brethren and the community. Yes, Kyle, Freemasonry did start from stonemasons. Please hit like and subscribe. Um, have you measured? I have. They're very big. Vice City, hit like and subscribe. Everybody watching this, please hit like and subscribe. No, we've never been locked Masons. Freemasons actually refers to either a type of stone called freestone or the ability to travel to earn a wage. Um, I would not use the term chapter. Lodges are Masonic lodges. Tommy, can women be Freemasons? So women can be Freemasons. There is the Order of Women Freemasons out of United Grand Lodge of England and other locations as well. There's the Order of Women Freemasons in Ontario. There's also Eastern Star and Rainbow. Um, I believe you should hit the like and subscribe button. Um, Three Masons and Illuminati. Well, if you want to join the Illuminati, you're going to be out of luck because the Illuminati really don't exist anymore in any meaningful way. When it comes to stonemasons, or Freemasons, excuse me, if you want to join, it's the old to be one, ask one. Find a lodge in your area and talk to them. Express your interest in joining. Yo Van Lias, you can agree with me or disagree with me, but I've been a Mason for almost 20 years. They do. I've had many of my brothers on stream with me. You can actually see the videos of my interviews with various, both Masons and non-Masons. Because many times non-Masons have valuable information about the craft, especially if they're historians or Egyptologists or symbologists or anything like that. What degree am I? I'm not a big fan of all the exclamation points. I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry, but I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. Amy Knight. Yes, Harry Hawk. There are many Masons in Australia. I actually want to do a podcast episode at some point talking about Freemasonry in Australia. But yeah, it came from the British, to my knowledge. Um, what do Freemasons do? Well, the appeal, again, there is no single appeal to not a 33rd, no. There is no singular appeal to Freemasonry, right? So, like for me, one of the appeals is that my 33rd is not the highest. The appeal is my grandfather was a Freemason, and I never got to meet him. He died before I was born. Being a Freemason makes me feel more connected to him. Um, it's also, I like to be part of a group. I like civic organizations. I like the lessons of universal tolerance. Other people find it appealing because they like the idea of charity. Other people find it appealing because they want to make new friends. It was very appealing, for example, to um, new immigrants, new members of a community looking to network, not in a business sense, but in a personal relationship sense. Some like history and find it appealing to be part of a historical organization. At its most basic level, the appeal of Freemasonry is the same as the appeal of any other group, a desire to be part of something greater than yourself and bigger than yourself. Right here, this is my hairline. Um, a Catholic can be a Freemason. I've known many Catholic Freemasons, Amy Knight. Now, the Catholic Church will say, and has said, and has a rule, that if you are Catholic and you're Freemason, you're not allowed to take communion in the church. I've known many Catholic Freemasons who do take communion. Either maybe they don't tell the church, or their priest looks the other way. But that's not on our side. We within Freemasonry welcome, men who believe in a supreme being. That could be Catholic, Christian, Hindu, Sikh, Jewish, First Nations, etc., etc. Um, I do not know what the Mason Mounts performance. I do not know what you're talking about. I do not know how Lucifer is doing, Mark David, because Lucifer has nothing to do with Freemasonry, despite what Albert Pike may say. Gabe, can a regular civilian, I mean, again, a regular civilian can claim to be whatever he wants to be, but I'm not going to automatically believe him. Anybody who tells me they're a Freemason, I mean, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they are, unless it comes time to bring them into a meeting or share with them, the ceremonies or anything like that. Then I'm going to want to get some more questions to confirm. Um, Harry Hawk, yes. I mean, the Stonecutters famously were meant to represent the Simpsons. Sorry, meant to represent the Masons. I love that episode. Obviously, none of the rituals are accurate or reflect Freemasonry, but I still love that episode. I get a good laugh out of it, as do most Masons who watch that episode. It's a great episode. Um, this is not a gang. So, Amy, you asked the question, what is a secret ceremony? You don't want to think about Freemasonry in those terms. First of all, there is no single ceremony. There are different ceremonies in different jurisdictions. The most traditional is the first 3 degrees within Freemasonry, entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason. But even those ceremonies will be different from Texas to Oklahoma to Washington State to New York State to Ontario. There is no single, like Freemasonry is different everywhere. And it's not actually even fair to think of it as a secret, but you want to think about it as private. There's private elements to Freemasonry. Shaquille O'Neal is a Freemason. He was made a Mason on site by Prince Hall. Um, Thank you, Harry Hawk. I really appreciate that. That's very kind. And thank you. I hope I answered your questions well. Um, I've been a Freemason for years as well. I'm not a 32nd degree, but keep in mind, if you were a Freemason for years and 32nd, Nacho Libre, let me ask you a question. What would happen to Freemasonry if we removed, let's say, consistory? which is in Canada, consistory refers to degrees 19 through 32nd of the Scottish Rite, right? What would happen to Freemasonry? Because I love talking about Freemasonry. Whoa, silence and violence. Prince Hall is absolutely real craftsman and part of the craft, and a wonderful part of our Masonic family. Yo, Megan Bannister, thank you for being here. Um, Thank you, Harry, but just be careful with what you Google. There's some people who say some interesting things about Freemasonry. Um, oh, Muslims could be Freemasons. It's just forgive me for not mentioning them. I've known many Muslim Freemasons, wonderful brothers, excellent part of the craft. I believe I've known one Buddhist Freemason, if I'm remembering correctly. He was either Buddhist or Hindu. I think he was a Buddhist, though. I've known a couple Hindu Freemasons. So they can both be Masons as well. Yes. Antonio, don't worry. I'm careful with what I talk about. I try my best to provide the information I'm comfortable providing, but not go into private details. There you go. We know at least one Buddhist Freemason. What's a Freemason, Megan Bannister? A Freemason is a member of a Masonic lodge. So that is what a Freemason is. Um, it is not that, I'm just call you Jesus, or I'm going to call you down. It is not that, it is a club, but it does not discriminate. We have, some gay members. I would say the majority are straight members. Um, but down, I think that you have been watching way too many foolish YouTube videos. We also do not worship Satan. Freemasonry is not a religion, so there's no worshiping of any figures, Satan or any other figures. You've also, Amy Knight, been spending way too much time on foolish YouTube videos. Is there a rival to Masons? Um, no. I mean, I've always said we in Freemasonry are vegetarians in that we don't want no beef with nobody. We do not have rivals. People may want to be rivals with Freemasons, but Freemasonry does not have rivals. Now, you could argue what we have is, like, honestly, the biggest rival to Freemasonry in 2025 is the television and streaming services. It's anything that will encourage a Masonic member to stay in his home and watch TV instead of coming out and being part of a meeting, or it will make him not willing to join a Masonic lodge because he'd rather just sit at home and watch television or movies. Our biggest rival is probably Netflix, or, our biggest rival could be economic conditions. If things get too expensive in the world, people need to work more hours, they just don't have the time to join a Masonic lodge. Those are what our rivals are. And honestly, they are the rival of almost every civic organization in the world at the moment. There are so many civic organizations struggling for members: Knights of Columbus, Moose, Elks, Freemasons. We're all struggling and we're all trying our best. Um, do you, I mean, I would think you would need a home for shelter, but not to be a Freemason. I'm Rose Qua, Mark David, if that's what you're referring to. I also know Sub Rosa. Well, I get to skip your comments, Jovanas, because it's my stream. So my stream, my rules. Well, Amy, there are, I'm sure, private things about yourself that you wouldn't want to share. Would you want to share with the stream your bank account information or your social insurance number? What are you trying to hide, right? There's many valid reasons to maintain privacy within organizations. If you're going to assume the worst of people, that's your prerogative, but it's a foolish thing to do. What purpose do Masons serve in modern times? That's a really, yeah, and Fred, that's an issue. That rivalry to Freemasonry. I can absolutely understand that. And you got to put your ability to like feed yourself first. You shouldn't join Freemasonry if you're not going to be able to afford the dues. Um, Dakin, that's a really good question. What purpose do Masons serve in modern times? At its core, the purpose Masons serve in modern times is the same as the purpose they served in ancient times. When I say ancient, I mean Middle Ages, 15th, 16th century. To provide and foster a sense of belonging. The same sense of belonging you get on a guy's night out when you're with your friends at the bar. It's or the same sense of belonging you get if you're part of a knitting club or a reading club. It's this desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. Um, but beyond that, I mean, it absolutely provides a social safety net, which helps not only the members, but the community. Corfus, please hit like and subscribe. If they say that, then maybe they had a bad Masonic experience. It's possible. Not everybody enjoys Freemasonry. When, I've known Masons who, were it not for the lodge stepping in and providing them with a donation to help them out, they would end up homeless because they couldn't pay their rent or their mortgage, because maybe they lost their job or they lost their whatever, they had medical expenses. That doesn't just serve the purpose of helping that brother, it serves the purpose of helping the whole community. Because somebody gets evicted, they lose their home, they and their family are on the street. Now it becomes the community's problem. Now the community has to step in, provide them with a shelter space, social assistance, food banks. It also helps people's health. There was a Surgeon General report released in the States a few years ago, which pointed out that, people who don't have any friends or associates or are not part of groups are more likely to die younger and have greater amount of health issues throughout their life, which again doesn't just affect the the lodge, it affects the community. It's keeping people healthy, keeping people out of the hospital by giving them a sense of belonging and support. It bridges the past with the present and potentially the future. And it provides the same, benefits as civic institutions will always provide. Being part of a community and being part of something bigger than oneself, which people will always desire, as well as, illuminating certain moral lessons and philosophical lessons. Dues vary by lodge. That is very true, Mikey UCC. Assistance to widows and orphans as well. Would it matter if I was Jewish, Pyro? What I am is a Freemason, and what I am is somebody who is on YouTube and wants you to hit the like and subscribe button. 33rd degree Masons are you never want to judge Freemasonry based on a single degree within a single jurisdiction. That's foolish. 33rd degrees is a Scottish Rite degree. It's different in Southern, Northern, and Canadian jurisdictions. If you got rid of the 33rd degree, Freemasonry would still exist, and for 99% of the Masons, it would be no different. The extent to which Freemason can be judged by anything, you should focus on the first 3 degrees, because without those degrees, Freemasonry would cease to exist. Having said that, I've known many 33rd degree Masons. They're good people. They're wonderful. They're an excellent part of the fraternity. No AI 30. We are discussing Freemasonry. So I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Brad, I do not. Please hit like and subscribe. Mark David, a Mormon could absolutely be one. I do know a Mormon Freemason. Never met him in person, but he comes on the stream a lot. He's a really cool person. Mormonism, it's, to my understanding, if you're Mormon, you believe in a supreme being. So you absolutely can join Freemasonry. And I'd be happy to sit with any Mormon Masons. How do I feel about all the misinformation and blame that Masons get? That's a very good question. I got these fingers here, and I got these fingers here, but this one is very small. Mormonism is, I wouldn't use the term child, but the founder of Mormonism was a Freemason, Joseph Smith, and he borrowed a lot of Masonic symbols when creating Mormonism. Well, that's not true. The ring is not the same symbol. How do I feel with the misinformation out there? So obviously I don't like it. But I also think we in Freemasonry need to accept a certain level of blame for it, in that when people started to say nonsense about Freemasonry, we didn't really respond. We kind of kept quiet. The problem is, the quieter we are, the louder the misinformation gets, at least in my experience. So we have a responsibility to try and push back against misinformation. It does make me feel sad. I because what is a square and compass, or compasses, I should say, because in my experience, a lot of times the people who are falling for these conspiracy theories and misinformation are leading very sad lives, and they're finding, trying to find purpose by creating a boogeyman against whom they can kind of fight or push against. I think it's very dangerous, and I think it can lead to a lot of people being harmed, including Masons being targeted. But I also try not to let it bother me too much and just focus on what I can do to present what Freemasonry truly is. Um, well, Brittany, many people on YouTube are inappropriate. What I'd say is just, in future, don't be inappropriate. I know nothing about transmutation. I don't think I believe in it if it is what I think it is. It's a great club to be in. Again, not for everybody. Some people don't enjoy it. Some people prefer to be part of other clubs. All of that is perfectly fine. It's up to you. Um, HK, Jesus is Lord. Many Freemasons agree with you. And Brittany, again, I appreciate the apology. That's very kind of you, but don't worry about it. When it comes to YouTube, honestly, many people act foolishly on YouTube or inappropriately. At least what I'll say is with you, you're apologizing, which is not better than 99.999% of people on YouTube. So good for you. Um, I don't know, Monkey Wrench, why you're repeating the word racism over and over again, but racism is bad. I'm proud. I'm happy to go on record and say that for the record. So there you go. I don't think we're in end times. I don't know enough about biblical or other religious theology to say, but I'd like to keep planning for the future and not assume we're in the end times. I don't think that's going to be too helpful. Do I believe? I believe Jesus was a real person. I'm not a Christian myself. I believe in a supreme being, but I'm not a Christian. But there are many Freemasons who are Christians and do believe that Jesus is God, I think, or Jesus was the Son of God. Um, yes, I got a big gap in my teeth. Daily drive. I've grown to accept it. Please hit like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. I would definitely say that's not the case, Monkey Wrench. And I've talked about this before. I think one of the greatest strengths of Freemasonry is the way it illuminates the value of tolerance. Tolerance for different religions, different ethnicities, different races, different political beliefs, different religious beliefs, different ideologies, different ages, right? You can have a Mason who's 25 sitting in lodge next to a Mason who's 95. It expands your circle beyond the narrow limitations of civil or religious um, groupings or orders. Christ is Lord, Judgment Day is coming. You might be right, and if you are, it'll be egg on my face. So why not just say you're Jewish? Well, because it's kind of like if I were to go to somebody's house and say, I'm a painter, can I paint your house? And they were to ask me if I'm Jewish or Christian or Muslim or straight or gay or whatever it is, none of that has anything to do with my ability to paint the house well. None of those things have anything to do with whether or not I'm a good Freemason, right? The one thing I do say is I'm not Christian because a lot of people ask me on this stream for some reason to, is Jesus God or is Jesus Son of God? So I do try to just give a straight answer to that. Having said that, whatever ethnicity or religion I am or might be, it does not matter to Freemasonry. So for all the chat knows, I could be Muslim, I could be Jewish, I could be Christian, I could be Wiccan, Mormon. It's irrelevant to me being a Freemason in the same way it would be irrelevant to my ability to paint one's house, whether I was a particular religion. If Freemasonry is about tolerance, well, I don't know about the middle words there. I would not say Freemasonry has anything to do with make believe. The dress up and the secrecy, I wouldn't also use the term secrecy, I'd use the term privacy. There are private elements to our Masonic rituals and ceremonies. The reason that privacy is so important is, amongst other things, think about it like a family recipe. Silence, or no, sorry, Vash the Stamp. Oh, who was it who said that? Six Leroux. If you had a family recipe and it was passed down from your grandparents to your parents to you, you want to pass it down to your kids, and you're not going to share that recipe on social media or tell it to people who aren't part of your family, not because there's anything nefarious or secret about the recipe. Rather, it's something that's meant to remain within your family as a way to maintain the bonds between, past, present, and future generations of the family. And, letting it outside the family impacts that. Within Freemasonry, we're brothers, it's a type of family. Yes, we have rings and coins and pins, but it doesn't really matter. What we actually pass down is our ritual and our ceremonies. And if I start to tell people what those are, in on streams, it limits the connections I have with my brethren, both past, present, and future. So I choose to keep it private. The other thing is the rituals are different everywhere, right? You need to remember that. So if I start sharing information about my Masonic initiation, let's say, the best case scenario is I'm going to spoil it for anybody else who wants to join. But more than likely, what's going to happen is they will then go into their Masonic initiation with certain expectations. They'll find those expectations were not met because it's a different ceremony. And as a consequence of that, they're not going to enjoy it because they won't be present. They'll always be in there with a preconceived notion of what should happen and not paying attention to what is happening. As for dress up, yeah, suits, tuxedos. There are some degrees where, especially in the States, in New York, right, where they can have costumes. Sometimes you see that in independent bodies. But again, it's all about creating bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences. Real cat. I do not know what that means, but please hit like and subscribe. Yes, Jalen Green, you are correct. Please hit like and subscribe. So Fred Uckers, the best way to think about it is Freemasonry is common or similar experiences with individual interpretations. So what I mean by that is no two ceremonies are exactly the same, between jurisdictions. So the ceremonies in, Craft Lodge in Ontario are not the same as the ceremonies in the craft lodges in Texas, but they're similar. There's a common base, common understandings, common kind of check marks in the ceremonies. However, it's not all the same. But the thing is, it's those commonalities are there, but every Mason interprets them individually. That's the beautiful thing about the craft is I can go through, and I've done this. I went through my initiation into Freemasonry and had a very specific kind of interpretation of it, understanding of it. It really helped me, perceive the world a different way. But then somebody else goes through the exact same ritual because it's in the same jurisdiction, it's in the same lodge. So they're going to go through the exact same ritual as me because it's in my lodge, but they have a completely different interpretation and a completely different takeaways from it. And then I go to Texas and I see a different ritual, but it helps me reevaluate and recontextualize what I went through and how I understand the degrees. So what I'm saying is it's commonalities with individual interpretations. And that's a really beautiful thing. So often now, I think in groups and organizations, there's this idea that everybody needs to interpret things exactly the same. Everybody needs to come to the same understanding. I don't think that's healthy. I think one of the healthiest things within a society is if everybody comes to a different personal understanding of what something means to them. Whoa, a lot of comments I missed. I'm very sorry. Um, Jake, absolutely. I know many Masons who are Christian. Um, nah, there's not. I mean, you could argue there's obviously incorrect ways. So, for example, um, if you interpret the ritual as meaning, I don't know, I should eat 35 large pizzas. Like that's a crazy interpretation. In an hour, you're interpreting it wrong, right? That's a crazy interpretation. So there's obviously irrational interpretations. But again, some people can, like for me, one lesson I've always taken from the ritual and my interpretation, again, is the value of temperance and of taking, your time and things. Other people have taken away from it the value of charity and benevolence, and that is what was really stuck with them. Others view it as a metaphor for growing up from childhood to adulthood. Others view it as a, metaphor for um, kind of building yourself as a temple. Others view it as building the community as a temple. So that's the beautiful thing about it. Whenever I'm mentoring a newer Mason, especially one who's going through the degrees, I'll always stop them at various points in the ceremony and I'll say, okay, what does that mean to you? What do you take away from that? And so often there are different answers to that question. It's a really beautiful thing. That's also why it's very important to travel as Masons and visit different lodges because you can be in a completely different lodge. You can hear the same ritual. So let's say it's the same jurisdiction, it's Ontario, which means it's going to be the same ritual. And I go and I listen to the same ritual performed in a different Masonic lodge. They may emphasize different words. They may use it, they'll say the same words, but they may emphasize different words. They may use different body language when discussing or presenting the ritual. And because of the different emphasis, the different body language, the different pacing, it gives me a completely different way to interpret the work and the ritual. And that's a beautiful thing. Gargola. I don't believe North Korea has a lodge. I'm sure it's illegal in North Korea. That is not true, Antonio. The most powerful people in the world are not Freemasons. I think Freemasonry is an incredibly valuable tool, but it's not a tool to gain power in the world. Yes, remember you're going to die, so seize the day. Well, thank you, Tiffany. I'm glad you're open to learning. I hope that you are also open to hitting the like and subscribe button. Um, Lodges don't subpoena people, but okay. Um, I heard you're a good hockey player. I am a great hockey player. At least I would be if I had legs. I used to be in wheelchair track, and keep in mind there is such a thing as sledge hockey, which is for people, not just, but for amputees, people with disabilities. And those sledge hockey players are tough, man, and terrifying. I would not want to get into a fight with them. Um, Freemasons are not involved in gang stalking. If anybody is stalking you, I don't know what it means to gang stalk. I've never heard that. I heard that term. I don't know what it means. But if anybody's involved in stalking anybody, gang or otherwise, contact the police. Robbie, I personally am not a fan of Donald Trump myself. However, that's my personal opinion. Freemasonry, Freemasons have many different opinions on Trump, some positive, some negative. It's one of those things where every Mason kind of decides for himself. And within Freemasonry, you're actually not allowed to discuss politics in a lodge. Off of Pluto. Maybe, William Morgan was. I mean, keep in mind, William Morgan was also massively in debt. He was actually in a debtor's prison and escaped. His debtors might have caught up to him, or his creditors might have caught up to him, or he may have escaped to Canada from New York to get away from the people he owed money to. Or it may be that he got into a fight with Masons and they did kill him. Passions run high. I have no, I don't know what the answer is, but I will say, look, Freemasons are human beings, and unfortunately, that means you will see the best of humanity in Freemasonry and also the worst sometimes. But I do believe if you are following the moral lessons as illuminated by Freemasonry, you will be able to subdue your passions and make intelligent, good moral decisions. But Freemasons are humans. Sometimes they screw up. But I don't know for sure. I don't. Nobody knows for sure what happened to William Morgan. Anybody who says they do is lying. Um, yes, it is not religious. Oh, it's not religion. Are you talking about Christianity, Jake? Because I've heard that before. Um, Shroom tripping. I love being a Mason. Gargola, can you drink? Dunk? Can you dunk? Um, well, I'm in a wheelchair, so I cannot dunk. I used to play wheelchair basketball back in the day. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. What are you, Nazi? Let's see your papers. Do you mean my dues cards? Is what I assume you mean by that. It's kind of a weird way to put it. Again, I feel like you are using really strange language. I loved Murderball. That was a great movie. Legitimately a great movie. Um, all right, this is one of my dues cards. Harmony Lodge 579. So there you go. I'm a member of five Masonic lodges because I'm crazy. So Freemasonry is not evil, Kevin underscore Jones. Please hit the like and subscribe button. You know what's not you know what is evil? Being on this stream and not hitting the like button, not hitting the subscribe button, and not considering doing a super chat of just 99 cents. Would it make a difference what my ethnicity is, Gargola? What matters is that I'm a Freemason. Um, that's the most important thing. Thank you, Jake. Was that my CPR card? No. Well, fair enough. I have a CPR card in here. No, no. This is Harmony Lodge 579. This is my dues card. I do have, this is my CPR card. I'm very proud to have a CPR card. I think every Mason should have first aid. I think it's the responsible thing to do. Dakin, um, I'm working on it, Fred. Dakin, don't think about it in terms of levels. That's not the right way to think about it. The best way to think about it is um, degrees and offices. So I am a third degree Master Mason. That is the highest degree within Freemasonry. I am also a 18th degree Scottish Rite Mason, and I'm the Worshipful Master of the Lodge, which is my office, and it is the highest office within a lodge. When you say how many levels, like how many degrees, it gets really complicated. In Scottish Rite, which is an independent body, there's 33 degrees. In York Rite, there's chapters. In Memphis Mizraim, in Europe, there's 99, I believe. So long as gambling is allowed in your jurisdiction, so if you live in a place where gambling is illegal, then Freemasons shouldn't gamble because they are instructed to obey the laws of the country in which they live. But if they're in a place where gambling is allowed, then sure. Um, you will never reach the top levels. I am the top level because I'm Worshipful Master, and that's the top level. Again, it's not rank up, isn't the term. We'd use the term advance. To go through your first three degrees, you show up, you practice work. There's usually call and response. You have to be able to answer questions about Freemasonry, and you have to be able to, usually in emulation ritual, repeat your obligation. You have to just prove that you've studied the work by repeating things. To get to advance in the offices, to go from, let's say, a steward, which is the lowest office, to the Worshipful Master, which is the highest office, You need to show up to lodge, put in the work, show that you're willing to do the work, and learn what you need to learn to advance, to get voted in. Because Freemasonry, in terms of offices, is democratic. So you don't get to be the worshipful master by right. You have to be the worshipful master. You have to be voted into the position by your Masonic brethren. Freemasonry is ultimately democratic in its nature, which is, I think, its greatest strength. You do not get paid as a Freemason, but I can get paid on this stream, so please consider a super chat, just 99 cents. Um, Again, it's not chapter, but there is one worshipful master in each Masonic lodge. I was a senior deacon. That's awesome. I've always argued that the actual in emulation ritual, so my ritual emulation, the most important offices within a Masonic lodge are the deacons because they are the guides. So every new Mason who comes through Freemasonry enters, he's being guided by the deacons. And I think because of that, you cannot underestimate the value of the deacons. I've seen degrees absolutely fall apart because the deacon was nervous and didn't know what he was doing. And as a consequence of that, it kind of set a negative tone for the whole degree, and everybody kind of struggled. The deacons in the degrees, they really do set the tone. Um, who is better, Jordan? Oh, Michael Jordan. No question, Michael Jordan. Um, we do not have shootouts, although there is a Masonic event that happens in Arizona that takes place at the OK Corral. So there you go. John Q. Public, what is the purpose of Freemasons? You have to ask every Mason because every Mason has a different purpose. At its core, the purpose of Freemasonry is the same as the purpose for any other civic group to fulfill the human desire to belong to something greater than oneself. Oh my gosh. I'm not a Knights Templar. I'd have to go through and do some more research. I know the basics of it, but I wouldn't do it tonight. Well, leaders don't hold in some ways. So Freemasonry is ultimately democratic. So, like, if I'm the worshipful master of my lodge and I have an opinion as to something the lodge should do, um, but the membership has a different idea, they have a vote. If their vote, if the vote passes with majority rule, then that's how the lodge has to proceed. The job of the worshipful master is not to tell the lodge what to do. Rather, it's to make sure that the lodge functions in accordance with the bylaws and the Constitution. So it's not to tell them how to vote, but rather to make sure that when there is a vote, it's done in accordance with all the proper rules and regulations and fairly. Certainly, if you've been a Mason for a long time, and if you're a Master Mason, you will have a certain level of influence in the lodge because you've been around for a while and you'll be considered more knowledgeable. But that doesn't mean you get to like boss the lower ranks around. In Canada especially, like an entered apprentice gets to vote in lodge, no different than a past master. They both get one vote. In America, it's a little bit different. In America, if you're brand new, oftentimes you don't actually get to vote in the lodge or vote on motions. So you do have a little bit less say or influence in how the lodge functions. But at the end of the day, Freemasonry is a democratic institution. So there is a hierarchy, again, where, for example, but the hierarchy is more based on responsibilities as opposed to the ability to actually like tell others what to do. Freemasonry, TLDR. I don't know what that means, TLDR, but the basic report on Freemasonry is it is a civic organization that evolved from stonemasonry guilds in the Middle Ages. Raised in 2011. That's awesome. Robbie Thieving Stein. No. I mean, anything's possible, right? So when you join Freemasonry, you are expanding your social circle. It's absolutely possible that within that expansion, you will find people who have good jobs or high, CEOs of companies, maybe they're looking to hire somebody. You maybe have an avenue to put in your resume, but it's not guaranteed. And you could potentially find the same, networking capabilities by joining a local flag football team or by joining like a chess club. There's nothing inherently within Freemasonry that makes it more likely that you'll get better networking opportunities than anything else. In some ways, it's probably worse networking opportunities as the numbers have dropped. So if you're joining Freemasonry with the goal of, getting a high-paying job through connections, you're almost certainly going to be disappointed. Um, that is not true, Holly. Um, Anybody can be a Freemason of any ethnicity, any religion, any background, any language. And Black people, African Americans can certainly join Freemasonry, and many do. And they're a wonderful part of the Masonic Lodge and Masonic family and brothers. What's the connection? Asked Eric. I mean, when Freemasonry was developing its rituals and its symbols, it borrowed from a lot of different organizations, philosophies, religions, ideas. Certainly, it borrowed from Judaism. I don't know about Jewish mysticism so much. You can find some YouTube videos about, ideas and concepts that were borrowed from, let's say, Kabbalah, but it borrowed just as many concepts from Islam and just as many concepts from Christianity and just as many concepts from architecture. I actually did an episode on my podcast. Well, then your lodge is doing it wrong. Because that's not what Freemasonry should be. Your lodge is incorrect. Let me see if I can find the episode, and you can look it up, and then maybe watch it. SNC episode 162, Worshipful Brother Matthew Parker, Freemasonry, History, and Judaism. This is a great episode if you want to know more about the connection between Freemasonry and Judaism. Um, If a Freemason commits a crime, Gargola, he should go to jail. I mean, I guess it depends what the crime is, but assuming it's of severe of nature, he should commit a crime. And we as Masons should inform the police if we find out that any Masons are committing crimes. We don't protect people who commit crimes. Um, I do not know what original Christians cannot join the craft. I don't know what an original Christian is. I've known many Christians who've joined Freemasonry. To my knowledge, they're original. How many degrees? Again, that's a tough question because it's not the same everywhere. If you consider Memphis Mizraim, there's like 99 degrees. What I always say is there's 3 degrees that matter, the first three that, are the most important. There's an additional 33 degrees in Scottish Rite. There's York Rite chapters. There's Memphis Mizraim. To keep it simple, let's say 33. Um, Well, Prince Hall is great, and I love Prince Hall. Having said that, any lodge that would not allow a member to join because of their ethnicity is not a good lodge and is doing it wrong. I personally wouldn't be a part of a Masonic lodge if it did not allow people to join of different races, ethnicities, because Freemasonry is about tolerance. I mean, go back to the Regius manuscript, go back to the Anderson constitutions. So, this is me speaking personally, but shame on those lodges. I can say I've never visited a Masonic lodge that did not or that excluded members based on their race. If I ever found myself visiting a Masonic lodge that were to exclude members based on their race, I wouldn't stay in that lodge. Um, but the thing to keep in mind on Freemasonry is single there is no single governing body. It's decentralized. So just because I find out one Masonic lodge is being foolish, assuming it's regular, we don't even know it's regular, assuming it's being, regular, that doesn't reflect on the whole craft. That reflects on that particular lodge. Gargoyle of Prince Hall is awesome. Prince Hall is a wonderful organization. Prince Hall Masons, they take, men of all races as well. I've known many white Prince Hall Freemasons and black AF and AM Masons. Um, Mark, how much? I mean, I know a fair bit. I don't claim to be a expert on Masonic history, but I know a fair bit, and I'm proud to know a fair bit. Well, Mark, I've never met a Satanist who's a Freemason. The example I always give is I once got a phone call in my Masonic lodge. I once got a phone call in my Masonic building. It was from somebody who wanted to join Freemasonry, and he described himself as a Satanist, and he said he understood that Freemasonry followed, Satanism and wanted to join because of that reason. So I met with him, I talked to him, I explained what Freemasonry actually is, how it works, how it operates, and he decided as a consequence he did not want to join because, as he said, he felt that Freemasonry and Satanism were opposed in ideologies and beliefs and philosophies. So all I can say is I've never met a satanic Freemason. I don't think they could join, or I don't think they would want to join. I think it would be opposite to what their philosophies and their ideas. Um, were all the founding fathers Masons? No, Eric, all the founding fathers were not Masons. 19 to 11 of the original founding fathers were Freemasons. And sorry, 19 to 11 of the founding fathers were Freemasons, and 13 signers of the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons. I mean, there have been many churches throughout history and religious groups that have either banned members from being Freemasons or spoke in opposition to it. But again, that's coming from their side. I've given the example a million times, or I've said this quote a million times, right? Freemasons are vegetarians in that we don't want no beef with nobody. Meaning, anybody, if you're a Catholic, Christian, Protestant, Anglican, any Christian denomination, Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, Muslim, First Nations, you believe in a supreme being, you can join, along with other rules. Yes, so the lodge is not a physical entity. The lodge is actually the group of members, the group of people. They can meet, in various places, but they'll usually have a single location where they meet regularly. That's called a Masonic Hall, Masonic Temple, Masonic Conference Center. It goes by different names. Colloquially, traditionally, the meeting place for a Masonic lodge, the physical place, was always called Masonic Temple, in honor of many different things, but including King Solomon's Temple. But because it had religious connotations, and Freemasonry is not a religion, many jurisdictions are suggesting naming the permanent places or the physical structures where Masons meet, naming them like Masonic Hall, Masonic whatever it might be. So, hello, Bartholomew. No, to be a Freemason, you do not need to believe in a supreme being. Sorry, getting this wrong. Sorry, let me rephrase. To be a Freemason, you must believe in a supreme being. Now, the nature of that supreme being is up to you. So, no two Masons need to believe in a supreme being of the same type. One can believe in a supreme being that's Christian in origin. One can believe in a supreme being that's Muslim. You can be like me and be spiritual. You can be in First Nations, indigenous, religious understandings of the Creator. You need to believe in a supreme being, but not in the same one. And Scottish Rite allows for that to continue, where I know Scottish Rite Masons, including 33rd degree Masons, some of whom were Hindu, some of whom were Christian. I don't know off the top of my head any actually Muslim 33rd degrees, but I'm sure there are. But yeah, it's not about believing in the same supreme being. Now, there are some orders within Freemasonry that do require certain religious beliefs. For example, there is an order within Freemasonry that is Christian exclusive, but That's not that, that's within Freemasonry. It's not Freemasonry, it's stuff itself. The example I always give is when I went to law school, right? Everybody was a lawyer, sorry, a law student. Everybody was equal. And to get into law school, you could be, any religion, any race, you could be gay, you could be straight, it didn't matter. But then once you got into law school, they had different groups. So they had an organization for women law students, which I couldn't be a part of. They had an organization for Black law students. They had an organization for disabled students, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so long as the admission to law school itself does not discriminate based on based on anything, then I'm comfortable with forming different groups within the structure. Um, Same thing with Freemasonry. So long as admission into Freemasonry does not discriminate based on one's religious beliefs, then I'm comfortable that when within Freemasonry you can have different groupings, like in York Rite, where you have to be Christian, for example. If that made any sense. Masons do not serve Satan. We, the great architect is not a specific religious figure. Rather, every Mason who has a, who for every Mason, they will, when they say great architect, they will in their mind, attach their religious beliefs to it. So a Muslim Freemason, will, for them, the great architect is Allah. For a Christian, for them, the great architect is Jesus, right? It's whatever religion or however you understand the supreme being is how you will understand the great architect. Um, would I join the army? I cannot join the army because I'm disabled. I'm missing my legs. If I wasn't disabled and I could, I don't know, maybe. I've never really thought about it because it was never an option for me. I have nothing but respect for anybody who chooses to join the army or actually chooses to join the armed forces. They're both tough sons of guns and they're dedicated to service. So good for them. Well, don't make me happy by stealing my soul. Make me happy by doing a 99-cent super chat. Um, I don't know. I'm not 32nd degree. I need to get 32nd first. I'm 18th degree. Some Masons like me, some Masons don't. It's kind of like anything else, like your family. So maybe I'd be asked. I don't know. But it wouldn't concern me one way or the other. I'm focused on being the best craft Mason I can be. Um, yes, Dakin, they were. I mean, actually, I don't know where the term Mason comes from in terms of stonemasons. But Freemasonry evolved from stonemasons, as in people who, actually shaped stone for walls, houses, cathedrals, built stone structures for the convenience of humans. Thank you, Mr. Whale. I was born this way. So I'm not missing my legs. I never had them. I was born missing my legs. I will do a wheelie. I'll back up and do a wheelie on stream if you guys hit the like button, subscribe button, and do a super chat. You advance through the degrees first by asking to advance, and then by displaying your knowledge within the previous degrees, which very often involves, memorization work. One of the skills you do develop as a Freemason is the ability to memorize things, which is a very valuable skill, actually. It's kind of being lost a little bit because with our phones, there has been studies on this. With our phones, we've lost the ability to memorize information like we did in the past. Even for me, I remember when I was a kid, up through my teenage years, I remembered like all of my friends' phone numbers, right? I didn't have to write them down. I just knew them. But now I don't know any of my friends' phone numbers because it's all saved on my phone and I just, go to contacts and press their name. So if you want to develop that particular mind memory, uh, muscle memory, or if you want to develop that particular muscle, the muscle of memorization, Freemasonry is not a bad place to go. How do they lift 1,000-ton blocks? You had pharaohs who were willing to throw a lot of slaves and a lot of time and a lot of their resources into it, and you can do some pretty incredible things with that. No, Albert Pike was from Nebraska, I thought, Mr. One Boston. I could have swore he was Nebraska. I could be wrong. I'm not a huge fan of Albert Pike. He's honestly kind of become a pain in the ass to me because people who aren't Freemasons read his shit and then suddenly they're quoting morals and dogma at me and telling me that, what Freemasonry really is. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. I could have swore he was Nebraska. Let me double check this. I could be wrong. Thank you, Mr. Whale. That's incredibly kind of you. Thank you for the super chat. That's very. Oh, I was wrong. He was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Arkansas, that's where it was, not Nebraska, Arkansas. He settled in Arkansas in 1833, where he became a teacher and he was the editor of a newspaper. That's right. I don't know why I thought Arkansas, Nebraska, but I did not know he was born in Boston. So I'd learned something new. See, I don't pretend to know everything. I definitely don't. Um, so yeah, I don't know why I got Arkansas and Nebraska mixed up, though I knew Nebraska. Maybe just southern states, but who knows? At least I know that at least they're close to each other. What's interesting about Albert Pike um, is that he was so they are next to each other at least. Um, or actually, no, Mississippi's in between, and so is Kansas. All right. Um, they're actually pretty far apart. All right, I just got that complete. I was just whiffed on that. What's interesting about Albert Pike, though, is so famously he was racist. He was a Confederate soldier. But later on in his life, he actually was very tolerant of Prince Hall Freemasonry and actually had some very good things to say about it. So it's interesting. It seems like in life he um, maybe some Masonic ideas or Masonic morals of tolerance and non-discrimination made it through, and he started to reconsider, or maybe not. I mean, you never know what's in somebody's heart, right? But I did find it fascinating that later on in his life, at this point, he would have been living in Nebraska, and would have been much more maybe tolerant, maybe respectful, right? He befriended Thornton A. Jackson, who was a leader of Prince Hall, and he had this statement. I can't think of where it was. I should try to find the actual quote. Um, basically he said, that he um, wishes them well and hopes that they have success. Um, I try not to be scared of anything. I try to have a healthy caution about things. I think healthy caution is good. I think fear is not so great. Um, there's a lot of weird quotes in here about who's gay, who's not gay. Freemason does not discriminate. I know many gay Freemasons, and good for them. They, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. To be a good man and true, you can be gay or you can be straight. I've probably known, I think, four or maybe five gay Freemasons since in my Masonic career. I can think of three immediately off the top of my head. And there's a fourth and fifth, which I've been to so many Masonic meetings, it's hard to remember them all. That's true. Everyone does feel fear. But when I feel fear, man steel, I try to channel it from fear to caution. One thing I try my best not to be is afraid of the unknown. That is something, a moral lesson that Freemasonry illuminated for me. which is the value of not allowing yourself to be afraid of the unknown, but to approach it with a certain, I don't know what the right word would be, a certain confidence that you can handle whatever is coming your way, if not on your own, with the assistance of your supreme being or the great architect. So I guess that is my view on that for whatever it's worth. Um, yes, he did say that. I mean, I read Morals and Dogma, Mr. One Boston. I think that's where that quote comes from. It's been years, years and years since I've read Morals and Dogma. I tried to reread it, and then I kind of fell, I just got so busy. Anybody want to see my cat? If anyone wants to see my cat, I'll see if I can show her to you guys in 1 second. You got to uh, do some hearts. Do I Freemasonry? In my lodge, there's a dress code. You got to wear suit and tie or tuxedo. Um, Well, fear, I don't think the first is the last. Fear is a lack of education. I think fear can sometimes result from education. Like if I am walking in the woods and I see a poisonous snake, um, if I'm educated on snakes and which ones are poisonous, which ones aren't, this is my cat. I'm going to be, I'm going to be more afraid of it. This is hard to hold this cat because it's being difficult right now. This is Bandit. This is my cat. But if I'm, nah. if I, so I guess my point is sometimes fear is the rational, educated response. Um, but being afraid of the unknown, I don't know if that's always healthy. I try to be confident when I'm facing unknown things. Just like when I created this channel, there was a leap of faith. I tried to be confident, even though I didn't know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I try my best. Here you go. This is my cat. This is Bandit. Nah. Bandit thinks that you should hit the like button and the subscribe button and do a super chat. Um, until then, Bandit is very sad that you would call me a blithering idiot. Why would you say, look at this face? Why would you say that I'm a blithering idiot when I have this cat? Look at that face. Bandit is very disappointed in you. Very disappointed in you. Mr. One Boston, yes, I do. I rarely use my Discord. I have a Discord and I almost never use it. But I can share with you how to find me on there because I do try to grow my social media accounts outside of YouTube. I have Discord, I have Twitch, I have all these different things. Let me see if I can find it for you. Um, that is a good piece of advice. In the Jack Reacher books, that's what they say Jack Reacher does. I don't know if I necessarily, have that skill completely, but I try. All right, let's see. I am on X, Mikey UCC. Um, so hold on just 1 second. Let me put down some of my stuff. So on X, it's at Cameron ADAMSO16 and at compass_square. So those are my two X accounts. Please follow me there. Good morning, Underground Thomas. Thank you for being here. On Instagram, you can find me at square_and_compass_promotions or at Masonic. Let me just get them all here. Hold on just 1 second. I will get your Discord in just 1 second, Mr. One Boston. I just want to go through these because more people are on those other sites. But Mr. One Boston, don't go anywhere. I promise you. I'll get the I'll get the um, I'll get the Discord for you in just one moment. They were on both sides, as is often the case. Not that they planned it or tried to create it. Rather, in many wars, there's been Freemasons on. There were Freemasons. King George and George Washington were both Freemasons. Um, so Masonic building interiors 1 and at Masonic Buildings 1. So those are my Instagram accounts. Now for Discord. I promise I'm getting that to you right now, Mr. One Boston. So Discord is, how do I find the way to invite? Okay, I'm going to copy this. Mr. One Boston, do you see that I'm not on StreamYard, Square Compass. Do you see that link that I put in? Happy New Year's, Achilles. All is well. It ends with R. So it's N, B, N, capital B, small d, capital A, capital R, small I, small d, R. I put it in there as well. What you can do is copy and paste. Let me know if you see that, Mr. One Boston. Sometimes links don't come through. Or I'll try it this way. I'll see if this works. Oops. That did not do what I wanted it to. I'll get rid of the HTTPS. So it's discord.gg/small n, capital B, small d, capital A, capital R, small j, small d, capital R. I hope that you will follow me there, Mr. One Boston. And then I hope everybody else will follow me on Instagram, will follow me on X, Facebook, Twitch, Discord, all that jazz. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. Blue Sky, if Freemasonry seeks truth and virtue, well, I can't speak to Christ's model because I'm not a theologian and I'm not a Christian per se, so I can't speak to that. I don't think Freemasonry seeks truth and virtue in the way that you are implying it. I think Freemasonry illuminates truths, but the source of those truths are up to each individual. So, for example, if you join a football team, you are going to learn certain moral truths will be illuminated to you, right? The moral truth that teamwork is valuable, that you shouldn't cheat, that you should practice, that you should keep certain things private. If you're part of a football team and you share the playbook on social media so the other team can find it, you're going to get kicked out of the football team. There's a value in keeping some things private, not secret, but private. Trust, giving your word. To me, that would be very much consistent with, Christian morality. But also, you could probably find the same thing in Muslim morality or Jewish morality. However, however it is that you think morality came to be, that's a question for religion. Illuminating moral lessons, that is a civic responsibility, whether it be through Freemasonry or professional sports or amateur sports or knitting clubs or anything else. Mr. One Boston, so did you find all the stuff? I think it does. I mean, again, I don't know what all these terms mean, like Orthodox Christianity. All I know is I've known many Christians who seem very faithful, very observant of their faith, and are also excellent Freemasons. I did for like 2 minutes, and then I stopped practicing. And then I had to fill out some paperwork, and I never did. So now I'm suspended from practicing law because I never got around to filling out my paperwork. That was like 5 years ago. And every year, I keep thinking to myself, like, this is the year I'm going to deal with that and just get it done. But I never bothered. So I have a administrative suspension. One day, I'm going to deal with it, though. Um, I mean, I'm a member of a Masonic lodge in Israel, beef hash, but I don't think it has to be either or. I hope everybody on both sides is able to, in 2026, find peace. I hope that aid, more of it, finally gets to Palestine and Gaza. A lot of them are still living in absolutely horrendous conditions, and I hope that things improve. 150,000 come from Greek. That's really cool. So, Mr. One Boston, you didn't. Have you got the invitation to my Discord? Are you checking that out? Um, Let me know as soon as you do. I want to confirm that you get it. Or if you want it, let me know your Discord username. I'll find you. Um, I'd like to understand from your point of view. I hopefully I can give you my point of view. It's one of those things where I think it's sometimes hard to adequately explain through the language we have one's point of view, but I do my best. Chris, I would not agree with that. I think that um, without question, there can be a lot of challenges that come with religion, but I also think it provides a lot of benefits. It's in the user, not in the religion itself. Jeans, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Hit that like and subscribe button. Yes, I got an ugly face, Carol, but please hit the like and subscribe button. If I'm going to be stuck with this ugly face, the least you could do is show me the kindness of hitting the like button and subscribe button. Um, you know, it's not easy having this big nose and big forehead, as everybody seems to like to point out I have. Um, it's a good thing my mom told me I was handsome all the time, because if she didn't, I would have never been had the confidence to be on stream. I would say seek what you consider to be your supreme being, Orange Sunrise. That is how I would put that, for whatever it's worth. It has been a wonderful stream. It's wonderful to see. Again, I'm not doing like, major streamer numbers, but I am growing every stream, and that makes me grateful. Seeing a lot of this stream having over, 40 people watching at a time, that's really wonderful. All right, hold on just one second. At FTR Boston. Let's see if I can find you. At FTR dot Boston. I have to drag the icon for heaven's sakes. Um, it's asking me to verify that I'm human. Okay, I sent you a friend request. You should get it. Um, it's the square compass symbol. Please befriend me. It'll be cool. I like to, like I said, I'd like to grow some of this stuff a lot more than I have on my social media. So much of my focus has been on this stream, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this stream, but I'd like to grow my other streams, grow my channel, um, you know, etc., etc. What is 50 questions in I don't want to do 50 questions in three essays. Thank you. Look at that. I've got a few more friends. I don't know if you have to send me some. I don't even know how Discord works that well, to be honest. So if I do anything wrong or incorrect with it, in terms of like, do I have to send you a friend request? Do I get a notification? Um, Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can do this. Let's see. Well, American Reaper, I am definitely not a fan of Donald Trump myself, but that's just me personally. So I, I mean, there are many Freemasons who like Donald Trump. I'm not one of them by any means, but hey, everybody gets to, decide for themselves what they believe in what it is that they believe in a political context. Um, I wouldn't. You, where is your name? All right, I'm gonna figure. Oh, no, I'm gonna totally figure this out at some point, and it's gonna be wonderful. Because right now it still says all friends, and I just have three. All right, I'm gonna figure this out. I promise you, at some point, I'm totally gonna figure this out. So let's see. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna figure this out after, because I cannot for the life of me find you under FTR Boston. Let's see. But good for you. It sounds like you're doing awesome on Discord. So well done. Let's nobody be fighting in the stream, all right? If you want to fight with anybody, this is just like Yellowstone. You want to fight with anybody, fight with me. Don't be talking to each other in the stream. At least not in, any emotional emotions. Thank you. Do Masons use AI? Actually, Underground Thomas, I've written some really cool, at least I think, medium stories about AI and how AI can potentially be of benefit or of danger to Freemasonry, and how we as Freemasons can, what we should be aware of. My biggest concern with AI is, previously, like 10 years ago, if someone wanted to learn what Freemasonry was or what Freemasonry is, they would most likely use Google as a search engine. Um, right? In 2025, um, they're probably going to chat GPT or other LMs and LLMs, and um, they are asking chat GPT, like, asking chat GPT, what is Freemasonry? So because of that, I think it's important that we know what is being said about us by large language models. And also even images. Like if we ask Grok, let's say, to create an image based on the prompt Freemasonry, what type of image will it create? I think we need to know these things. So I did a whole interview with AI about this. Um, I love the Tower of Babel. Some argue that Nimrod was, in fact, the first stonemason, even though the bricks that he used to build the Tower of Babel were actually made of clay and not stone. They still say he was the first stonemason, which I think is kind of cool. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll say, sure, Nimrod can be the first tower of the first stonemason. Well, follow your destiny. Your destiny is to hit the like and subscribe button, first and foremost. Second, I do not know to what you are referring. I did not join Freemasonry to feel special. And being a Freemason doesn't make me feel special. I wouldn't use that word for it. It makes me feel, in some ways, very privileged and like very lucky, but not special by any means. I do not know what that is. But what I do know is it is currently 3:16 in the morning, um, Eastern Standard Time. It has been a wonderful stream. I will be streaming again, technically today at 1 p.m. Eastern. Um, and thank you, Mr. One Boston. And, as a consequence of that, I need to get some sleep at some point. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about the things I'm most looking forward to in 2025 sorry, 2026. 2025 has already passed. 2026 in Freemasonry. Yes, Dakin, we do. Dakin, are you like, when you say DAK, is that like Dakin, like the Dream Warriors? Which, if you know, you know. Yes, I'm a Neanderthal man. I got a big forehead. Hit like and subscribe. Freemasons do social stuff. We should do it more than we do. It really depends on the lodge and what the members want. Thank you, Mr. One. Hopefully, we'll get this whole. We'll get the Discord thing sorted out, and we can hang out together on Discord. Because, like I said, I want to grow that as well. I don't think I'm doing nearly as good a job as I could. Oh, here it is. Actually, no. So you're still pending right now. Oh, here. Hold on, just one sec. Um, I invited you to the server. Okay, oh, there we go. It's accepted. We're good. Okay, we're all set. It looks like we're good to go. Thank you so much. That's a great motto, by the way. I mean, that kind of fits in with my idea of the Supreme Being, right? The idea that the Supreme Being is the rational universe as best understood through science and geometry. So I love follow reason. I did not know that was the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts motto. So that's really, really cool. And if you want to, because so if you want to invite me to your server as well, then, you know, let me know. And if I can throw some stuff on there to promote the channel, that's great. If not, I just love to see your stuff. Um, I would love to get some of those hidden gems. I mean, one of the best parts by far about this channel is when I get those hidden gems. Duh, duh, duh. We have some other. Thank you. I hope I was enlightening. I try my best. Like I said, I don't always succeed, but I do love talking about Freemasonry. I was going to jump off the stream, but some new people just. He did. And keep in mind, Mr. One Boston, I'm sure you know this, but when Manly P. Hall wrote that, he was not a Freemason. He was not a Freemason until, I think, like 20 years after, at least, when he joined the Grand Lodge of California. So you want to keep that in mind for sure. Oh, there's a bunch. I mean, you can find all of Morals and Dogma as well as probably all of Manly P. Hall's stuff, in audiobook form. So absolutely, um, that is the case. And yeah, this has been fun. Don't forget, I did put them up there, but don't forget if you get the chance to check out the Instagram, X, Discord, Twitch. If anybody's on Twitch, I'm on there as well. And I will talk to everybody later. Have an excellent, excellent night. Hopefully, see you guys in about 10 hours. All right, bye.